Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to the Rangers Rabble podcast. This is your Monday night phone in. So this is your opportunity to get your thoughts across. Plenty to dissect and speak about after the weekend. The 1-0 win, albeit with a very turgid performance against Motherwell. So any of your thoughts on that, or even anything else you want to talk about of Rangers persuasion, get the numbers dialed. It will come across the bottom of the screen when the phone line is active for you to phone in, and Martin will be waiting to take your call in the background. Now, let me bring in my panel. Tonight we're joined by Mark. How are we?
Not too shabby. How's yourself? You good?
Aye, not bad. Fine form. Kurt, how you doing?
Not bad, Connor. Hopefully better than yesterday's performance, but not bad.
Good stuff. Well, hopefully. Okay, so on that then, yesterday, Mark, it was a win. It was 3 points. That's always the important thing, is that you make sure you win the game. But it was not a great performance in the slightest. In fact, the manager himself described it as a horrible performance. So it shows you where he ranked it. Now, we spoke before the game yesterday on the build-up about the changes that he made in terms of Scott Wright coming in. That, for me, didn't work. What was your sort of thoughts on the game, or what you've seen? Is it a case of just be happy that we got the 3 points and hope we get better going forward, or is that just symptomatic of how we have been playing for a lot of this season?
No, I don't think it's be happy we get the 3 points. I think it was a shit show, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm well noted as being one of the more positive ones in this pod, and I can't find one single positive apart from the result. I just cannot find another positive. I'm properly clutching at straws. Listen, you win 1-0 at home and you still get booed off the park. That's all you really need to know. That's enough said as far as I'm concerned. I kind of mentioned it before. I think once you lose the fans, I don't think there's any way back from that. I really don't, unless you start hammering teams 5-6-0. I don't think there's any way back for it. For me, it's a matter of time at the moment. I think it's got lots and lots of shades of Van Bronckhorst about it towards the end. I hope that we don't stumble from poor performance to poor performance, even although we get results, because this will just prolong the agony. I think that it's almost like a pressure cooker, and it's just building and building and building at the moment until people are properly going to go tonto. I don't know. The only way to fix this, I think, is to do the decent thing, and either he falls in his sword, which these days they don't do, or the bold remove him. Yeah, you just can't. I mean, I'm dejected, and I've said that before on here. And the last time I said it, it was under Gio. Not good at all. Don't see a way forward. Struggling to see, even if we bring a new man in, how he gets the best out of these players. So, as I said, it's a lot more questions than answers, and it takes somebody a lot cleverer than me to try and answer some of them, but not good.
Yeah, I mean, Kerr, obviously we'll go into specific sort of decisions within the game and things like that, but there was a feeling of positivity in there after Thursday night, because we beat a very decent side, a very good side in Real Betis, and managed to get off to a good start in Europe. And then it was as if yesterday just, scalped us right back down to reality again. That all that positivity, all that hype, all the, maybe we're starting to turn a corner, are we getting performances, beat St Johnstone the week before, and what was not our best performance, but definitely a better one than we put out on Sunday there. And then it just all fell back again. I mean, what do you put that down to? Can you put your finger on why that? Because you could see the changes. Obviously, Scott Wright coming in, and I don't know what your opinion was on that, but that's one player. The rest of the players have been playing, so I don't see how that could have dramatically change that performance to be so bad? Because we were hanging on for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I come on to the pod yesterday and I'd left at 85 and missed a lot of my real chances. And I thought they didn't let us score them, but having watched the game back, it was worse the second time. But no, Motherwell should have probably come away with 3 points. But I don't know if you can put your finger on one thing, Connor. I think there's probably a few things behind the scenes you don't know about. Has you lost the dressing room? I'm not 100% sure. Have the players stopped listening to him? But the players have to be held accountable as well. I mean, as soon as they cross that white line, it's up to them. If they don't agree with the manager, fair enough. But their job is to play football, and they're not doing their job well enough. As for Scott Wright, I mean, we've got injuries. We were playing poor before the injuries came into the squad, and because we've got injuries, you can use that as an excuse. We're still playing poor. So I don't know. I don't think he'll get the sack. I don't think, one, we can probably afford to sack him and his backroom staff, and two, I don't think the board have any list of managers like anybody in the frame they would go and approach. And even if it does, and if somebody's in a job, you're going to have to spend money to get that manager in anyway. So you're probably looking for somebody out of work. So I don't know if that would be the sensible thing to do either. I think it's just game by game at the moment until we go along and the season dwindles out, and then maybe the board react. But apart from that, I don't see anything happening soon.
Well, as we said, this is the phone in, so it's your opportunity to get your say. And Alec has gave us a phone. Alec, how are we doing?
I'm okay, mate. Thank you very much.
Good stuff. What's in your mind in the night for the lads?
Right, okay. We've rode with luck quite a lot over the past couple of weeks, I would say. Okay, let's be honest here. I'm wondering, who are the team that are going to give us a right pumping? Because it's coming soon. Believe me, it's coming soon. It's going to be a 3-4, 5-0 victory to whoever we're playing. So our next game's Livingston. Could they do it to us? Could Aberdeen do it to us at the weekend? Or are we going to be thoroughly humiliated by Aris Limassol doing it to us when we go across to Cyprus? But somebody's going to get this Rangers team and they're going to hump us rotten. And maybe that's what we're fucking needing now. Pardon my French. That is something that's going to happen. Over to you, boys.
I mean, listen, to be honest with you, Alec, I can totally see where you're coming from. You're right in a lot of ways. Certainly the game there, Motherwell had a number of chances and there was a couple of clearances after the line, so that could have went otherwise. I don't know necessarily if we're going to be due a pumping, because the teams you've mentioned there, I mean, Livy are not exactly a great team right now. They struggled against 10 men at the weekend, so I mean, we'll put it this way: if we do get a pumping after Livy, then we're in serious trouble. Aberdeen is probably my bigger concern, actually, Alec. I'd agree with you there, because they've got the two boys up front who seem to be hitting a bit of form with Majowski and Duke, and they could cause us problems. I mean, Mark, are you along the line of thinking, Alec? Do you think there's the potential for an absolute down in there?
I think it's a matter of time. I really do. I mean, you look at, I caught bits and bobs of the game, and you look at that last 10 minutes, we were getting battered off of Motherwell. Battered. I think it's a lottery. I think that every team that's looking at us, i.e. Livingston, Aris, Aberdeen, they're all rubbing their hands and saying right now is when we want to get Rangers, because I think that every single one of them will look at performances and their tails will be up and they'll be looking forward to either coming to us or us going to them. As I said, for me, as soon as Alex said it, I thought to myself, it could be a lottery. Any one of them, just take a pick, pick a name out of a hat, because that's how we're playing at the moment. I think that the European result kind of papered over the cracks. But for me, as I said, I like to be positive, but can't find any positives at all. I think for me, I think Beale's a dead man walking. I think that once it goes, you can't get it back. And I think we just need to rip the plaster off it and get on with it, as far as I'm concerned. But will they do that? I don't think they will. But as I said, I know that Rangers are only really in the business of sacking managers. All you need to do is look at the amount of managers we've had over the years. So but I think that needs must sometimes. I think that we need to get somebody in with a clear plan, somebody in with a clear philosophy, somebody in that's got experience. I think our days of bringing in rookie managers and hoping that they're going to do it and they're going to get the best out of players. I think these days are gone. I think we need somebody in, an old head with experience, wily old fox, somebody that can get the best out of these players and motivate them. Because listen, January's a long way away for a transfer window. You need somebody in just now that can get the best out of these players. Who you get, poor.
I mean,
who knows?
Alec, to come back to you then on that point, you know, I think clearly the feeling is that the only way it'll improve is if it's done without Michael Beale. Do you have any ideas who you would be looking to replace him? Would you go along with Mark about it being a more experienced manager this time round rather than a project?
Well, I'm looking at Mark's face now, and I've spoke to you before, Mark, about this, and you know what my opinion is, and I'm going to say it again, but I've got another name to add to that. But honestly, I found it very suspicious the other night there when I was watching the game. Who was what do you call them again? The pundit that was on the telly. It was Derek McInnes. Now, am I being Mr. Suspicious conspiracy theorist here? Or is there something in this? You've shot me down, Mark, all the time about McInnes. You've shot me down, and I respect your opinion. But I've got two guys' names on my list that I think could do the job. One is McInnes. I think that's number one for me. But the other day there, another one crept onto the list, and it's Mark Warburton. Now, you guys are there. You're there to shoot me down. It's all very suspicious how these guys are creeping onto podcasts at the moment. Not so much McInnes. He's obviously the manager, commander, and all the rest of it. But that's my fight. I know those guys waiting to come on and put their points on, so I'll keep it this short and sweet. I think McInnes is going to get the job. And I think either Livingston, Aberdeen, or Shock Horror, another Progress Niederkorn. I think Aris Limassol are going to give us a fucking big fright, okay? And one of that is going to lead to Beale going. That's my lot, boys. I'm going to hang off tonight, but I just want to hear your answers to what I think, okay? Cheers, guys. All the very best to you.
Cheers, Alex.
Cheers, Alex. Thanks very much for your call. Mark, that was...
Can I jump in? I'll for me, McInnes is no, and it's a no. Look, we're all entitled to our opinion, and Alex, I can see his way of thinking. But for me, there is one reason why, and one reason only why, that McInnes will never get the Rangers job. If I was in charge, he would never be anywhere near our club. Is but one reason. He knocked his back. No, sorry, you don't knock Rangers back. Don't care who you are. See, if you knock Rangers back, there is no way we're going to chap your door a second time. So for me, absolutely not. Take everything else away from it. That's the bottom line. Knock us back, no chance. We're not going to come grovelling back a second time. Not a chance in hell. No way.
Yeah, Kerr, what would be your opinion on that then with McInnes? I mean, I would have to be in the camp of Mark there, saying, look, he got offered it before. He chose to stay at Aberdeen. I'm sure he had his reasons for that. But we can't be seen to be gone back to the door, especially managers like McInnes, because without knocking him, the quality isn't such that you would want to go back, is it?
Derek knocked the job back before for reasons to his own, see himself. I mean, he grew up a big Rangers fan, but Derek McInnes wouldn't be my choice as manager either. But it's difficult for us as a club because the budget in football now, we're not going to go out and get an experienced guy. We're not going to go out and get a guy who's winning things. We've not got a budget. I mean, it's common knowledge that we went for Sean Dyche in the summer before. We went for Sean Dyche before if they came in, Beale, but we went and spoke to his agent. His agent said he's willing to take a job, but he wants about £8 million a year. That knocks us right out the park. So we can't afford, and that's for somebody like Sean Dyche, I mind anybody else. So the wages we are paying, it doesn't give us a lot of options unless you want to go further afield. like maybe go to some places like Asia or somewhere like that and get somebody out with there, something outside the box. But I don't know what the board should have a list of names, like I've said before, of people I know. I mean, Kai Hudson's one that's always mentioned, and he's a guy I like. But with T companies, I don't know. I mean, we have to remember football's changed that much. We're a big club in our eyes, but we're not a big club as much outside of Scotland as we probably were 10, 20, 30 years ago. Football's changed that much financially. So I don't know where we would go. But to me, Michael Beale shouldn't have got a job in the first place, and I said it, and it was an easy option. But everybody was excited because everybody thought he was a man behind Steven Gerrard. Which, the point maybe he was, but Steven Gerrard only won one league as well, if you remember. So we just brought back somebody who knew the club. We'd done it in the fly. We brought him back when Gio was still there, which was a poor move by the club. But no, I wouldn't go back for Derek McInnes. I wouldn't Matt Warburton. Would be a no anyway. But I don't know. I think it's somebody's going to come in that we don't know, or it's somebody the board are close with. It's not going to be somebody on the radar of experience for somebody in a job just now.
No, listen, I agree. We have another caller. They're coming thick and fast tonight. That's great stuff. Chris is on the line. Chris, how are we?
Not bad, Colin, not bad. How's yourself?
Hi, I'm all right, mate, all right. What's in your mind for the panel tonight?
Right, I was listening to Scott and Mark, but you've got to realise the investment. If you look at the summer, it doesn't matter what manager you can pick. Pego Agora, it doesn't matter what manager you bring in. We spent $3 million in the summer window transfer. Celtic spent $25 million. I spoke to Brian a few times over the past. If you look at Celtic's back four alone, the last 2 years, they've spent $17 million. So you've got to, it's already talking about the Reebok, was already talking about the new manager, Beale. But until we start marching across the city, financially, we can get Houdini. And you're still not going to win the league because, like I said, we spent $3 million in the summer. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that, Scott?
Yeah, by all accounts, there's different figures come out. Obviously, the board and the manager were different on the figures that's come out, but by all accounts, we didn't spend as much as we think we spent. But that's a problem. We've not got a lot of money to spend, so we're working. We can't class ourselves the same as them. We can't do what they do.
But that's the problem, Scott. We say we want to win the league. We want the last 12 years. They're winning the league 11 to 12. Why they win the league 11 to 12? Plain and simple, they've spent money. They've had finances. To win the league, to get our 56, me, you, Mark, Connor, we all love the club. We basically give our life for the club. But the bottom fact is, you've got to look at the finances. Across the city, they spent $25 million this summer. We spent $3 million. 2 years ago, they spent $17 million in the back four alone. We've got the same back four for the last 5 years. If you look at Celtic's team, and from 2 years ago, they're a completely different side. Lose Jota, they lose still fit. They've got players in the back four injured. They went to Ibrox with a makeshift side. We're almost at full strength. So it's no point talking about a new manager. It's no point talking about Beale. Off the field, we've done brilliant. Commercial, Emerson House, the sports bar. But that does not win you 56.
Yeah.
So we start putting money on the park. Proper money. I don't know what you think. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, listen, great points there. So thanks very much.
Like I say, Colin, we start competing financially, they go across the city, it does we can get Houdini. We can have the best manager in the world. We have Pep Guardiola. It doesn't matter a jot. If we are not investing in the park, it means absolutely jack. You need that, and I've been listening to you guys a lot, and I've been listening to Martin knows, but you've got to realise you're not talking about finances. We always talk about we're not about the money. Well, that's why they won 11 to 12. Until we start investing, we're always going to be second best, and that hurts because we all love the club.
Listen, I think we all do, and it does. It obviously it hurts us all. We all want the club to be successful. Listen, thanks very much, Chris. Got to move on, but great points, mate, and do give us a phone back again. I mean, Mark, you know, some of the points he makes here about the financial side of things in terms of you got to spend money and the amount that maybe they've spent across the city. I can accept that as a point and a factor because they have done that. But surely the decisions that we've made in terms of our appointments, you know, because we decided to put everything.
I'm not sure if it's your reason or me, mate.
Sorry, I think I froze there. Am I back? Am I good? Apologies. No, I'm just saying we
question, mate.
Yeah, sorry. My question was, we decided to put Beale in charge of everything without a sporting director. He's identified the players we've brought in. Some of them aren't playing well right now. So, as much as finances, is that no also down to the board to try and take some of that strain off Michael Beale if they're not going to sack him?
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I get the finances part of things as well. But, I mean, flinging money at things doesn't always work. I mean, I know it helps, but it doesn't always work. Look at Chelsea at the moment. Chelsea are awful, absolutely awful, and look at the amount of money that they have spent. So it doesn't always work if you fling money at it. I understand that you have more money, you can bring in better players. That's just part and parcel of the game. But for me, what you do is, and Scott's one for us as well. Your scouting network. See, for me, you spend money in your scouting network. You spend money in your scouts. You spend money in your infrastructure. You spend money in people that know the game, that know what a good player looks like, that knows ins and outs of leagues, continents. You bring players in that are gems because that's where we're at the moment. We can't go and buy the finished article. So our money needs to be invested in the best scouting network that we can possibly get, the best analysts, all that good stuff, because that's where we are as a club. We need to bring in players that are a couple of million, that are under the radar, that we can bring in and are going to kick on. We've tried this season to try and bring in the finished article by paying 4.5 million for Dessers, 3.5 million for Lammers. It's not worked. It's not worked, and maybe it's not worked because the scouting network's not been great. I don't know. As I said, this is Kerr's bread and butter. He knows a lot more than me about this. But for me, flinging money at it, we've tried that and it's not worked. I think that for me, I would be flinging money at find out who the best scouts are. Fling money at them. Fling money at their knowledge, at their data banks, at their databases that they can bring players or get players to our club that are up and coming, that are on the cusp of being really, really good, because I don't see where we go from here. We've spent, as I said, we've spent money. All right, we maybe recouped a lot of the money that we spent, but we have spent money on players trying to buy the finished article, which is exactly what we needed. But it's just for some reason it's not worked. Whether it's the other thing as well, which I've been thinking about when we've been talking about the board and this board and stuff like that. When Beale get appointed, he wasn't the chairman, and Bisgrove wasn't there in his capacity as well. So it might be that this might be some part of the issue in the background somewhere, that they might not want Beale. The Beale might not be their man. So this might be the reason why we're having issues and why it's not working, and what we spoke about, that we've net spend of 3 million rather than the net spend of 15 million or whatever it was. So that might be the problem. I really don't know, but for me, as I said, there's something deeper than the fact that Beale's just no any good. I think that you look at the players that are brought in, they've had decent pedigrees, playing in Serie A, playing in the Dutch league as well. So for me, it's a hard one to try and fathom out what is actually going wrong. But for me, that money should be spent on your scouting network, your scouts, all these databases and stuff like that, because that's where we can't afford the finished article.
No, I totally agree. And we do have another caller waiting, but I'll just quickly say that if you are not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Get subscribed, get this liked if you enjoy what you see, and you can become a member of the channel as well, and keep up to date with all the great content that we've got on the channel. We do have Andrew on the line. Andrew, how we doing, mate?
I'm fine, Connor. Nice to talk to you again. How you doing, lads? Okay.
I know bad.
Well, after yesterday, don't answer that. But I watched the game on Rangers TV, and it looks as though the team's come back the way. Now, okay, one or two injuries again, but I think Mark touched on it. We kind of buy basically the finished article, like Ivan Toney. Whenever we looked at him, as well as Celtic, apparently, 9 million quid. There's no way Rangers were going to pay £9 million for him plus his wages. So we've just got to persevere, sadly, with Beale and hope to God for the best. But I looked at Cifuentes yesterday. I don't know about you guys. I thought he was rank rotten. He just kind of seemed to even pass accurately. And yet we were told this guy will take us to the next level. And I'm thinking, what on earth is Michael Beale on? But okay, his hands are tied financially, but I'm just not convinced the players he's brought in are good enough. It's starting to look that way. But what's your take anyway? Will Beale still be there even if we win the League Cup?
I mean, listen, I think it's very, very difficult for Beale. I think it would depend. There'll be a lot of factors in it, because it's one thing, let's say we win the League Cup, but if we get poor results in the league, between now and potentially a League Cup final, we say next weekend we're playing Aberdeen at home, we drop points there, that's going to pile that pressure straight back on him again. I think the next game he loses domestically could be his last game. That's where he's at right now. So I don't even know if he'll be in the job long enough to win the League Cup. And even if he does last that long and does win the League Cup, again, it will depend on where the league form is, because at Rangers you're always, compared to where you're against your rivals. And it's great to win a cup. Obviously, we want that silverware, but we've got to make sure that we are in this title race as well, because that's your bread and butter, is winning that league. I want to ask you, Andrew, on the game itself, because you were talking about Beale, his in-game management. Obviously, we saw Matondo go through an injury, which, that's potentially concerning given the other problems we've got. But what did you make him bringing on John Souttar and going with that? Well, he said it was a back three. Did you think that worked? Is that something you'd like to see us do again, or was that for you a bad decision?
I think it looked a bad decision, because towards the end, the last 20 minutes, I think Mark was saying, the Rangers were all over the place, Connor. And only poor finishing prevented Motherwell getting at least a draw. And they may well have won the game. Okay, in Europe, you might get away with the back three, but when he took on, was it the lad Seema? I don't think he made a hell of a lot of difference anyway. He kept giving the ball away as well. His end product is lousy. Scott Wright, sadly, we were trying to bullet him in the summer, and he just seems to, I don't know, he hasn't got an end product either. Very rare that you see Scott Wright scoring a good goal.
No, listen, great points there, Andrew, and thanks very much for your call. Give us a phone back anytime, mate.
Pleasure. Cheers, Connor.
Cheers. Kerr, I've seen the comment there for Ian as well about I would accept the League Cup as success. I don't think anybody's saying that, just to be clear. Nobody's saying that. I think that was the gist of the chat, that probably wouldn't be enough. But on what I was, what we were talking about there about his decisions during the game, you were at the ground. What was the feeling around you when you saw that decision to bring Suter on for Matondo? Because it seemed negative. You're taking off an attacking winger for a centre back.
It didn't bother me at the time, Connor, because I've been asking for a back three, and I thought you could push the two full backs forward, because basically he wants you two to go forward anyway, but it didn't work the way he wanted it to, obviously. I just feel he's let himself down with the personnel he's brought in overall. I feel he's tried to bring in too many attacking players, which hasn't worked. He's neglected the defence and wide areas. I mean, he's brought in a few players, as we know, but he brought in 3 strikers we probably didn't need. Whereas Lammers, Dessers and Danilo. But Kent's went away and Sakala's went away, and he's not brought the guys, he's not brought anybody into the place. These guys know he's looking back to Scott Wright, who been trying to punt all summer, but didn't want to move. And then you're looking at your full back positions, which we all know Tav's a year older. I don't see Tav having long left myself. Yeah, he's been great when he's been here, but we're not getting the same output from Borner's and a year older as well. So Ridvan doesn't seem to get a game, so I don't know if he's in plans. You've got Sterling, who looks okay as a defender, but going forward, he doesn't do a lot. So I felt he's scouting, or however, I don't know if he scouted them, as you know, we're letting scouters go and going more analysts and digital scouting, which to me, it works to a point, but you need both. But I don't think his recruitment's been great, and I think that's what's let him down, and I think he knows that himself, but he'll not admit it. Listen, I think if you went to Michael Beale just now and says, Michael, what's your best 11 and what formation you're playing, I think he would struggle to answer you. Because I don't think he knows. I don't think we don't know. And to be honest with you, I don't think the players know. So I think the players are turning up. What formation are we playing, Gaffer? Who's playing? Are we playing 3 at the back? Are we playing 5 at the back? Are we playing 4-2-3-1? What? And it's now nearly October, and he's struggling with this. By this time with these guys, they've been here long enough. They should be settled. Some of them should be showing more than they are. But the manager should be getting more out of these players than he is. But for some reason, I feel he's just going to go game by game. It will fester. It will change, like Mark says, but I think the change will come later rather than sooner, because, like I said, I've always said about the Rangers board, yeah, it's new guys now in the position, but on the reactive board, they change it when they have to. They don't change it because it needs. They wait until they're never told in to change it.
It's a very it's a very good point. That I think we have been, too reactive in these situations over the years, and it's been costly at times. We have got another caller, Joe. Joe, what's on your mind tonight? How you doing?
How you doing, guys? It was just to say, I think now is the time to play Sterling as our right back and play Tavernier further forward. We've lost Matondo. Matondo played on the right for some weird reason, but he's played on the left for the last couple of games. Bring the energy back to the right. Tav doesn't need to defend as much. And try that. Why not?
Mark, would you go along with that? Tavernier further forward by Sterling behind him?
Maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, yeah. For me, I think Tav's lost a yard. When was the last time you've seen Tav get past somebody? When was the last time you got to a byline and put it in? Now, Tavernier's plan, or the way he plays the game, don't get me wrong, great crosser of the ball, but now what he does is he takes a touch and flings it in early. So he's flinging crosses in probably 10 yards away for 18-yard box. He'll whip them in. That's what he does now, because he's not got the pace to get past somebody. And he knows that himself, hence the reason why that's how he's changed the way he plays the game. And it takes it early now, whip a ball in early, which is good if you've got a striker that's going to go and attack the ball, or you've got a striker that's making a run to an near post or a back post, no just standing there waiting and the ball coming in. So for me, yes, 100% 2 years ago, it would have been a great if you'd have moved him up one. I think you'll probably get better out of Tav in that right wing position anyway, but for me, he's not a right winger anymore. He's not got the pace for it. It's as simple as that. And obviously, if you look at the last kind of 6 months to a year of Tav, he's very, very rarely does he get past the man and get a byline. So for me, no, I don't think Sterling's the answer at right back. I think Sterling is probably a right-sided centre half. I don't think he's got the technical ability I think that you need as a right back. So for me, no, I don't see it. I take his point on board, and I kind of get it's because obviously I kind of get what he's saying, but for me, no, sorry.
Joe, coming back to you on that, then
we
would
need
you?
to start bedding in. Sorry, guys. We need to
No,
start
no,
bedding
you're
in
fine.
some guys. I mean, we bought Redvan for nearly £5 million, and he can't get a game. Borna must be 31. I think Tav's 32. We need to start bedding in guys into these positions to hopefully take over soon. Because if we don't, we're going to have a 35-year-old right back and a 33-year-old left back. We need to try something, and we need to do it soon.
Yeah, listen, great points again there, Joe. And I think most days would agree about bedding the new guys in and trying something different, because it has, we've certainly had the two wing backs for quite a number of years now have been the same. So a wee bit of refreshing, that wouldn't be a bad call. But thanks very much, Joe. Give us a phone back again anytime. Great points there.
No problem, guys. Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Right. Care, there was a slight positive. Well, firstly, thanks to James for the $4.99 super chat. On the fence about Beale, I think Florence genuinely believe the players have hung up the boots. You saw it in his face. Do you go along with that, Care? Have the players hung up the boots? Is that what we saw in Beale's face at the weekend?
I said the hell, I don't know if the players have stopped listening to him because it's the same stuff he's saying to them, or they don't get what he's trying to do, or he's trying that many different things. They're getting confused. Listen, a lot of football players just do as they're told when they're in the dressing room. Yeah, there will be some, there'll be cliques, and every dressing room has cliques. Some players don't like each other and stuff like that. But if the two important ones or any important ones in the dressing room stop listening to the manager, it usually festers and is right through the team. And once they do that, I know, Mark knows, everybody watching knows he's not going to have long left. But he's seen it after the game, he wasn't happy. And what he came out and said was probably his best press conference I've seen him give. And I know it wasn't, since he's been here, usually he talks, and you think, right, enough. But he came out and spoke the truth. We were rotten, blah, blah, blah. He wasn't happy about it. And that's great. But he's telling us that for a reason. He's telling us that because obviously the players have stopped listening to him. I feel some have, or he wants a action for the players. Now we'll see him Wednesday and we'll see him Saturday. Wednesday night, to me, should be beating Livingston. Livingston are a poor side. I mean, should be beating Livingston. The big one's Aberdeen. I know great corner, you know that, but they've got boys up front that can score. We've got boys up front that can't score, so it could be a tight game. And listen, my Motherwell chances that I seen watching the game back, because I missed them when I was there. Motherwell should have scored, but I don't think Aberdeen will miss the kind of chances with the boys they've got up front. So difficult, but the players are going to have to either try to buy into what he's doing, or that something's going to happen, because this can go on, Connor, because we're 1-1 now, and we're getting booed off parts. So all arguing each other, we're fighting each other. You've seen it, fans fighting in the stadium about things, and because somebody's slagging a player and you don't like it. Listen, I hate going to football and criticising the team. I know you pay your money, you can criticise, but I hate doing it because you hate to support them, and I hate shouting things like players and stuff like that. But it's getting to that way. But I'll hark back to my previous point. We've not been a side competing, winning stuff for the last, 10, 11 years. We've won one league and one cup. Why is it taking just now to everybody starting to realise we need to win stuff? We've not been doing it for years. We've been mediocre, to be honest with you, for the past 6 years. But just now seems to be the point everybody has reached to say enough's enough. So if the fans are seeing it this way, surely the board will maybe starting to see it this way. Because before that, it was acceptable to have a great run in Europe, getting to a final, and obviously we didn't win it, but we got to a final. Other runs in Europe have done really well, and we finished second, but we can say, well, at least they've done well in Europe. And that was, I'm not saying it was acceptable by everybody, but the board are saying it was acceptable that you are doing stuff like that. But all I see for Rangers now is it's the talking about the past, Walter Smith, all this, and to me, I don't want to be doing that. I want to be talking about the future. But until the club are in a place where we're looking forward to the future, we've got a manager in place that can build. I'm not going to say we're going to challenge for the league, because I think we are far behind them, and I don't think they're great, but I think we're far behind them. They're better than us, put it that way. But I don't see they're taking one step forward and 2 steps back every time we appoint somebody. We never seem to be going in the right direction. Do you know that way? It seems to be a lot sideways. Probably the way we play, everything sideways.
Aye, no, listen, I think the talking about the future is nicely brought me on to actually young Bailey Rice, because well, it's not all negativity. We did win the game. Bailey Rice got an appearance. All right, might not have been the most impactful, but Mark, does that show the trust that Michael Beale has in a young guy like Bailey Rice? You know, with the injuries we've got, and that game was sticky. By no means did we have that game won, but he was more than prepared to put him on the part and give him minutes, even in a tight one like that.
I think probably twofold with that. I think that yes, that's probably the case. I think, but the other side of that coin is that I think he's no any other option. He's no any other midfielders. He's trying to change stuff. It's not working. He's not happy. So I think that it's a somewhere in the middle. It's a mixture of both. But do you know what? He looks a real talent, this young lad. Is it a good idea to bring him on when we're playing poor, when the guys run about him or misplacing passes and the crowd's on his case? For me, I don't think so. For me, I think that that's bad management as far as I'm concerned. I think that you bring a young boy on when your tails are up, he's doing well, it can come on with a bit of confidence and ping a few balls about. I don't think that that's the environment you should be trying to blood a 16-year-old boy in, as far as I'm concerned. So, as I said, for me, probably a double-sided coin, but that is for me. I can't get away with it. It was bad management as far as I was concerned.
Mm. And I mean, is that, you know, is that a bit of a theme with Beale as well, Mark, to a degree? Because sometimes you see some of the decisions he makes in games, some of the subs he makes, the times he makes them, even sometimes he leaves it so late at times, and you do kind of, because I thought when I seen some of the changes he made at the weekend, it felt like a scattergun approach. It seemed to me, I mean, I was happy to see Bailey Rice, obviously, but it did seem he was trying to throw everything at the ball and see what stuck. Because at one point he's taking Dessers after bringing Sterling on, then Roof sort of quietly came on. I actually missed his sub, and it, for whatever reason, he just seemed to be, I think, a bit out of step with subs. It was a bit of a scattergun approach, as I say.
Corner, I think you're 100% right. I think he was just trying to fling as much shit as he could at the wall and see what stuck. I really do. I think that is exactly what's happened there. I think that he was at the stage at the weekend where any change is better than no change. I think that was it. That was where he was at mentally. I think he thought, this is terrible. This is awful. What can I do? He's looked at the bench and thought, I can't really do anything. So I'll just make changes for the sake of making changes. We'll try a different formation. We'll try different personnel. We'll try. So for me, that's all he's done. That's what it looks like. I think that, as I said, we've kind of kicked this ball to death already. That I think that it's slipping. We're going down a hill fast. We've not got any breaks, and I think that it's only a matter of time, really. When you start doing that, when you start, as I said, changing formations, bringing different personnel on, I think he knows himself. I think that if you looked at him at the end of that game there and in his press conference, I think he knows that the writing's on the wall. I think that it's a case of he's probably went home, sat and spoke to his family and said, "What do you think?" If he's any sort of a man, if it was me, I know that if he chucks it, it's financially it's a lot of money he's flying away. But if I was as a man, I would go, do you know what? I've took this as far as I could. This isn't working for me. I can't find a solution. I'll fall my sword. I don't think he'll do that because, as I said, there's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, especially when you've got young kids and stuff like that. So for me, as I said, I don't know what the tipping point's going to be, but there will be a tipping point at some point. I can't see this going the other way, and all of a sudden it's starting to play well, starting to pump teams, all our players starting to gel together. I just can't see it. I think it's went too far now. I think that the turning point was a European game. I think that after that we should have kicked on. We should have went out, put in a great performance, and scored 3 or 4 goals at the weekend there. That's what we needed, and then that could have been a catalyst. But sorry, we've just reverted back to type. It's just, as I said, it's a matter of time. Simple as that.
Colin, I'd just like to say, no, every manager I know, nobody chucks it. They all want to stay because all deep down they're football men and they think they can change it no matter what anybody else tells them. As for Beale Rice, I actually applaud him for that because I think Beale needs to play more. If Beale Rice can't play the Rangers team just now in SPL, when can he play? We'll look at Jude Bellingham. I'm not classing the same as Jude Bellingham, but Jude came into a Birmingham City team that was fighting relegation. He played, and look at Jude now. So if Beale Rice can't come into a Rangers team against Motherwell, against Livingston, when's he going to come in? Do you know what I mean? When's he going to come in? He's only 16, so if it does go pear-shaped, put him back into my academy for 6 months until we get another chance in 6 months. He's only still 16. But if he comes in and it works, we've got an asset in the side. We don't need to spend more money. We don't need to, we can maybe move some out and put Beale in there. It's a win-win for me. So I don't see why he shouldn't come in.
Just on that, Kerr. But Birmingham's a different kettle of fish for Rangers. That's what I'm saying. Pressure-wise,
No, really, Mark. Being a football player, when you're 16, you don't have any fear. When you were 16, you had no fear. Football players are the same. The older they get, the more fear they get.
don't know. As I said, but I would have protected them a wee bit. But it's just my opinion. I respect your opinion, but for me, I don't think it's fair in a young boy to fling him into that.
Yeah, listen.
See, the thing is, we don't play him. Somebody else will, and he'll be here much longer.
I mean, that's
100%
aye,
right.
that's your other worry, isn't it? Because we've seen that with other players in the past. And listen, as Mark said, it's all about opinions. There is still time to get your calls in if you have an opinion that you want to put to the guys, whether it's about Bailey Rice, whether it's about anything else that you've got in your mind to do with Rangers. Pick up that phone. There's still about, I'd say, 8 or 9 minutes to get your call in. Martin, you have an opinion on that?
I know that my audio will probably be terrible, so I'll make this very short and sweet and then I will disappear. I was at Ibrox yesterday, and the amount of empty seats that were there was noticeable. I know that you are going to come on to talk about the Livingston game briefly. So my point to you guys before I jump off is, how's the attendance going to look on Wednesday? Because I've got a funny feeling it's going to be one of the lowest attendances that we've seen for a long time. And will the board take notice of the amount of empty seats that there was there? And I don't even think the Aberdeen game sold out yet. So will the board start to take a bit of notice of that as well? But I'll leave you with that. And again, if anybody wants to call 01416287237, get your calls in now. Like Connor says, you've got 10 minutes left to get your calls in, so get them in.
Well, firstly, I'll say on that one, I am actually going to Ibrox, so I'm one of the people who will be in a seat on Wednesday. But it's a fair point. I mean, I do think naturally cup games like that, you don't always get a full house. Having said that, it is against another top flight club, so I think it's something they will need to start. I think looking at it seriously, because if people aren't turning up to the games, you know, it's one thing to things only going well, but see when you lose the fans in terms of attendances, that's then going to cost the club financially, isn't it? Because then there's no, you know, those many. It's not a full house to go and buy programs or pies or whatever, you know, just basic stuff like that all puts money in the pockets of the club. So in that respect, I would say, I would imagine they'll look at that. I think if we don't sell it on Wednesday, it won't be as much a worry because it is a cup game. But I think if we get to the weekend and we have another game that's not sold out and there's still plenty of empty seats there, I'd seriously then think, we've got to change something. Mark, what's your point of view on that?
I think probably most of the listeners, probably you guys as well, feel the same as me. I'm a bit dejected. I don't know if I mean, I'm not looking. Although I'm going to watch games, and obviously when I get home, I'm probably going to be going to games as well. But I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not thinking, oh yes, got a game at the weekend. I'm properly sitting behind a sofa, watching, peeking at the telly because it's no fun. It's no the Rangers that we want to see. It's no the upbeat. And Martin's probably got a point. They're probably not going to be a great attendance there. Will the board take notice? No, I don't think so at all. I think that the only way that the board's going to take notice is if the results are poor. If we keep getting results, we will stagger from game to game. If we keep getting wins and playing badly, I think we will stagger from game to game. Because at the bottom line is, if we're winning games, regardless of how we're playing, they'll be thinking, why do we sack him? We're winning games. We're getting through there. It'll come, and they'll know pull the trigger. So I think that the attendances are going to start suffering. But listen, we're all Rangers fans as well because they'll not drop that low. We all love our team and we all love to go to Ibrox. It's a day out, but there's none of us enjoying it at the moment. Nobody.
No, I would echo that. As I say, I'm going on Wednesday, and just for context, I haven't been to Ibrox in close to a year. That's not been by choice always, that's just the way that it's worked out. And I must admit, as much as, of course, I love my club and I'm looking forward to going back to Ibrox, I'm not necessarily looking forward to actually watching the game of football that I'm going to see, if you know what I mean. So, you know, I definitely agree with you there, Mark. Kerr, what's your sort of take on it? I mean, you know, would the board act if it's terrible performances, but we're just scraping a 1-0 win against Livy and Mulls and teams like that coming to Ibrox and the attendances are going down? Or is it, as Mark said, if we're winning games, they'll not be too bothered?
We've got a phone call, Connor.
I'll come back to you. Put a pin in that, Kerr. I missed that. Christopher, my apologies, mate. How are we doing?
Yeah, not bad. Thank you very much for having me on. A great podcast. How's everybody doing?
Not bad, Christopher. No bad. We're not bad here. We're not bad. We could be better, but we could be worse.
I'm all right, Christopher. I'm trying to cheer myself up. This podcast and this 4 inch no cheered me up, but any stretch of your imagination. It's usually my therapy,
well,
I think I'm going to need therapy after this.
I don't think I'm going to cheer you up either. What I was going to say was about scouting. I read through the week that they're changing the scouting to a more data-driven scouting system, and my opinion of that was, shouldn't we be already doing that? Now, data and statistics and that can only take you so far. They can't tell you what happens if the chips are down, how a player reacts to that and things like that. You've actually got to go and see the player. But before we go and look at the player, should we not be crunching the data before we actually send scouts out to have a look at the player to see if they're worth investing
in? Kerr, I'll come to you in that for fear that...
What the clubs do is what Rangers have been doing that before. Just knows as larger scale. They have been having a database of players, maybe every top 5 player they've been in different leagues round about, maybe Europe or Scotland, whatever, and looking over a period of time at our status. If a manager says I want a left back, they'll come up with these names. If it's an age bracket under 24, over 24, and then they'll send somebody out to look at it. Obviously, you've got the scouts that just go to games every week and look at different games in case you see somebody that pops up that's not in the database. I know they're doing away with that and they're just bringing analysts, more database, and it's all coming for that. But you're still going to have the guys to go out and see them before they do eventually maybe sign. But a lot more into backgrounds as well, and people on social media and stuff like that, and they're starting to do that more. So listen, they'll be able to find everything about you just as well. Not looking at Mark, you can find many things about having social media, but I think they'll be looking at the players all different ways. But I still agree, get out looking at players with your eyes is a lot better than looking at players on stat.
Yeah, because I remember what a guy from Brentford said. He was the head of the recruitment at the time. He says, if you can get 70% of your recruitment each window correct, you're doing a fantastic job. And at the moment, on the face of Beale's recruitment in the summer, you would say we're lucky if we're getting 10% correct of the recruitment.
Yeah, listen, it's certainly been a real issue, and I mean, I've voiced concerns when we first signed the likes of Dessers and Lammers, when I was a caller rather than being on the podcast, and I thought at the time you're bringing in players who didn't have great records, but you've got to give them a chance equally as well, I suppose, to see what they can do. And so far, they've not been pulling up many trees, but I mean, these are Beale's players. He's the one that identified them and brought them in. So ultimately, he's the one that has to fall on his sword. Would that not be right, Chris?
Yeah, I would say so. The only thing that really annoys me about the scouting system, it's annoyed me for quite a while in regards to Rangers, the overall package of the recruitment is, why can't we find gems? Why is across the other side of Glasgow finding these gems, and we can't do that, and we don't seem to be able to do that. Either we're doing it, the players just aren't flourishing in the environment which is Rangers Football Club, or either that there's something wrong fundamentally with the way we're recruiting players and the things that we're looking at in terms of the recruitment side of things.
Yeah, listen, Chris, we're pushing on, mate, but great points. Thanks for that. Phone us back anytime you want. We're here Fridays and Mondays for the phone-in, so pick up that phone, mate.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice night, guys. Thank you.
You as well, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, Chris.
Right, well, a couple of minutes left to go, lads, so let's quickly talk about the game on Wednesday. Mark, what are we expecting? Are we expecting a better performance? 1-0's not going to cut it, is it? No, a performance like that again.
Do we need to talk about it? do we need to? What we're expecting, I would be saying what we're expecting is more of the same. I would think we are going to scrape through. And I think we're just going to keep trundling on. That's what I expect from the game.
Yeah, Kerr, what are you kind of expecting for the game? I mean, obviously, I'm assuming Matondo's probably not going to play, so I'd guess maybe Seema will come back in. But are you a Mark that will just sort of turn on, as he said?
No, I think performance will be better. It can't really get any worse, and I think Livingston are a poorer side than Motherwell, so I think we will win a couple of goals. And I'm hoping Beale Rice gets a start because I think he's one of the guys we have to start putting in the team. And I also think Lammers should be playing in his. I think when Lammers played in the first half, he done okay when he's getting in a position where he's just in that kind of free role between middle and front. I think it's when they move him out wide, he's less effective. And I think he's seen that with his press conference. He's confident, he came out and said a few things, didn't he? And he didn't seem too enamoured with the manager's moving about a bit. So, and he did come out and say he should be playing better as well. So at least he's identifying that himself. So it's good to see that sort of refreshing. But I think we'll win a couple of goals, but we should be beating Livingston with a couple of goals anyway, Connor.
Yeah, absolutely. Martin has joined us. Martin, what are you expecting in Wednesday?
Well, I just thought I would jump on because that's the phone-in line's closed, and I thought I would just jump on for the end of the podcast because I've had a few people saying that I like to just pop in and out of the podcast when I feel like it, which is probably true. I'm confident we'll win on Wednesday because Livingston haven't exactly pulled up any trees this season. They haven't gave teams the difficult games that Livingston usually do. My big fear is the lineup. My big fear is who's he going to play? Is he going to try another different formation? And one of the big things I noticed about Sunday was, and a lot of people were getting on the back of Dessers, probably quite rightly so. He's not built up any trees. He's not exactly played well. He had an opportunity, I think, I can't remember if it was before or after he scored, but it was a kind of break of the ball in the box and he just kind of flings a leg at it rather than trying to control it. But one thing I did notice, because I was sitting in the perfect seat for it, was people say that he doesn't move and he doesn't make runs. The guy does. The guy does run a bit. He does make runs. And there was a couple of opportunities where he could have been threaded through with a simple pass, a very, very simple pass twice. And the pass was either delayed, it was delayed or it was played too late twice, and then he got ruled offside. So my big fear about Wednesday is who plays. what does the manager do? And does it look as poor as what it has?
Yeah, aye. Well, I mean, time will tell. I would have that fear as well because you just don't know the injuries we've got, and Matondo added to that list does create a bit of headache, I suppose. But we shall see. Right, that is that for the night. All that remains for me to do is, well, say two things. One, like and subscribe if you've not already done that. And again, as I say, you can become a member of the channel as well if you fancy it. And thanks to my panel tonight, Mark, Scott, cheers. You kind of dragged me through that, I must admit.
All the very best, buddy. I think you've done all right, mate. You've done all right.
And Martin, cheers for the background deal with the phones and all that. Caper, and we'll be back on Wednesday for the coverage of the game, pre-match build-up and the post-match reaction. Make sure you tune in for that. But until then, see you later.